Welcome to the Quilty Friends Podcast with your host, Johnny Barfuss. And here's Johnny. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Quilty Friends Podcast. I'm Johnny Barfuss. I'm your host of the Quilty Friends Podcast, and I am back, hopefully back nice and strong to be with you all. So the last few months have been a challenge. Oh my gosh. I just want to break down what's been going on. So I'm just going to kind of tell the story of where I've been the last couple months and what happened. And now that I'm on the other side of it, a little bit of perspective, I guess. So about two and a half months ago, in the middle of June, Monday morning, I got an email from my landlord saying that my lease was not being renewed. They were terminating my current lease, and they were not going to renew. They're terminating my current lease, and I can sign a new lease with different terms and conditions. So they made it very clear that I was not being evicted. I could definitely stay, and I could definitely sign a new lease, just with different terms and conditions. So the terms and conditions were my dogs. They decided they no longer wanted to allow pets in the apartment because of things that my dogs had done, and we'll get to that in a minute. But they decided they were no longer going to accept pets in the apartment. My dogs are definitely emotional support animals, but the laws in Utah state that if you have we'll get there. We'll start there. So that was my Monday morning. So I got this email, and it said, "We are not renewing your lease. You can sign a new lease that will no longer allow your dogs." So what happened is my dogs, while I was not there full time, while I was working, dug a hole, a cavern maybe, a cave. They were trying to get to China, basically. So there was a family of rats living under the shed in our backyard, and Buster was determined he's going to get to those rats. So a large hole was dug underneath the shed. I didn't realize how bad the hole was, and I just didn't know how bad it was. So he stated, we're terminating your current lease, and you can sign a new lease just without your dogs. And I said, why do you think I could do this without my dogs? How do you think I could live without my dogs? So essentially I was being evicted, and it came as quite a shock. I'd been there for 4 years, and as many of you know, I was homeless about 6 years ago, and that 6 years ago was the most traumatic point in my life. So to have that come back and to be evicted again after 4 years of living in the same place, and 4 years is the longest I'd been somewhere in probably 15 years. I'd moved around a lot, just shuffled around, and I guess I feel like I was in survival mode for a long time. So being in the same place for that long, for 4 years, was very comforting and felt very stable to me. I was very established. I had, anyway, it was quite a shock. And I think I literally had a panic attack. I called one of my best friends, Cami Orange, and she'll be on the show in a couple of weeks with me. She's coming to visit. But I called my friend Cami Orange, and she's the person I kind of always reach out to if I am just at a complete loss as to what to do. So I called her, and she said, first we need to feel the pain before you can move through the pain. So we just spent a couple of minutes feeling what it's like to be evicted, and I took it as I'm going to be homeless again. That's all there is to it. I mean, this is the same feeling. I've been kicked out of my living space. I've been evicted. I have nowhere to go. And it was really quite traumatic. So I called my friend Cami Orange. She's like, just feel the pain. Just let's feel it first, and then let's figure out a way through it. So I spent the next month and a half, literally they gave me 30 days notice. And I just didn't know what I was going to do. I'd already had a challenging year financially. As many of you know, I quit my job back in December. I was still rebuilding on a new job. And so I just felt like I was right back there where I had been before. I did feel like I had nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, and limited resources on how to get there. So I just broke down, cried a lot, and kind of went numb, I think. And I just went back into survival mode. And this reminds me of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So everyone, I think, knows about that. But the very base one is food and shelter. If we don't have shelter, we don't have food, you can't really do anything else besides that. So it was very triggering. Again, I felt like I was going to be right back there. I felt like I was going to be homeless again. People joked about if I was going to go back to the place where I had gone, where I didn't have a place where I was living. And I said, don't even go there. It's not even funny. It's not a joke. It's not funny to me. It's not a laughing matter. It was very traumatic, really quite traumatic. So spent and again, they gave me 30 days notice, no warning. And I just started looking for a place to live. The rental market in where I live is very out of control. The real estate market is out of control. Rentals are going from, for a 2-bedroom, a 2 to 3 bedroom, is $2,000 and up. And was a lot more than I was paying where I was. I was very blessed to be living where I was, to paying such a good price, but anything I could find was I felt like it was out of my reach. So I lived closer to my dad as well. Did a lot for him to help him out. And we found one place to live that was further away. And he's like, please, no, don't go so far. I like having you near, and I like being able to help. And so we're trying to find a place that was close to Bountiful, where I was living. And just with no luck, or with very little luck, we'd find places that were dirty, run down, small. I have me and my sister and 2 dogs and a quilting hobby that takes up a lot of room. And I guess, looking back, I could have given up on one of those things. I can never give up my dog, and I can give up my sister. But I could have given up space for the quilting and put it in storage, I guess. But there's a part of me it's such a huge part of my life. And as you can see right here, I haven't quite got moved into this space yet either. Still trying to figure out the storage solutions for the space I'm in. But it was just really rough. So I reached out to the landlord. First thing I reached out was said, are you sure? Can we talk about this? And he said, no, we've been thinking about this for a year now. And I was like, if you've been pondering this for a year, why on earth could you not give me some heads up? I've been here for 4 years. I've been a decent tenant. I didn't always pay the rent on time. I missed it. I was late a couple of times. I had dogs that, in their thoughts, destroyed the backyard, but it was holes in dirt that could be repaired, things that could easily be repaired. And so first thing they said was, no, we've been thinking about this for a year now, and we won't change our mind. We don't want you. We don't want dogs there anymore. So I asked for an extension after looking. I asked for an extension of 2 weeks to July 1st, just to help try to find something. And again, I've been there for 4 years. I have a lot of fabric. I have a lot of projects that are not always in the best steps. They're not always finished. They're not always ready to be done with, So anyway, it was hard. Needless to say, found a place with my family. We found a place, it's called Farmington, Utah. It's about 15 minutes north of where I was living in Bountiful. So I've made it to the other side a little bit and just getting back on my feet. The last couple of days, I'd say like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I felt happy again. I felt optimistic again. How's that? I felt optimistic, and I could actually feel joy again. So it reminds me a lot of, I just think about the people who are homeless. How easy it is to go from one place to another. In the flash of an eye, in the blink of an eye, your whole circumstances can change, and you can be just in a different place. But here I am on the other side. I'm ready to get back to the podcasting. I'm ready to get back to quilting. And so that's my goal today, is to schedule some interviews for the podcast. I have some people in mind. I do have some friends already coming in. I recorded one with some friends, and after I got done, I went and listened to it, and there was an echo through the whole thing. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is crazy. But anyway, I'm glad to be back. I'm happy to be here again, and hope to see you again in a few days with additional podcasts of the Quilty Friends Podcast. Thank you.